Hello, everyone. This is Faye, and I sell Medicare plans. I am coming today just to give you an apology. The podcast, I Sell Medicare Plans, actually, I have been remiss. I really do want to apologize. I want to let you know that I've missed you. I know that you've missed me. It's been a long time and too much time in between these podcast broadcasts. So, I Sell Medicare Plans is back. Believe it or not, I Sell Medicare Plans podcast started a long time ago, before podcasts were the thing of the day. We actually started our podcast way back in 2020. And during that time, because of COVID, that was why we started it. We couldn't get out as much. We couldn't see people as much. And it was the way to actually talk to people, to actually feel that you are in the presence of some people and have them feel that they are right there with you. So our podcast started back in 2020 and started with about 5 platforms. We started on Anchor, and that was changed to Spotify, which of course boosted the broad reach of places where our podcast could be heard. Now, along with that, I want you to know that over the years, we've had nearly 7,000, which may not be a big number for some, but nearly 7,000 plays on this podcast. But what I want to talk about today, because as I said, I'm apologizing, I want to give you my apologies, and I want to give you 3 steps that you can use to recover when you've made a mistake. So this has been a mistake. Not being here on the podcast and not being in your presence has been a mistake. So what's the first thing we need to do? First thing is acknowledge that it is a mistake. Acknowledge that what you did should not have happened. So I'm confessing, I do acknowledge that I should not have been away for so long. I've missed you, and I hope you've missed me. But along with acknowledging that, that was a mistake on my part not to stay in touch, I also needed to analyze, why did it happen? It's because, like everybody else, I'm only human, so I only have a certain amount of time. Remember, no matter what anybody tells you, time is the most important thing in your life, because time is what you can't get back. You'll hear people say money is important, but you can go from zero and build that money back. You can get money back, but you cannot rebuild time. Yes, you can remember it and you can think about it and you can have memories of what happened in the days past, but you cannot relive that very moment. So time is so important. So time got by me. Time went by, and as time went by, my focus changed. And with that focus, I became busy with other things, and it really led to poor judgment. I admit it. Yes, I had poor judgment about the importance of doing the podcast. Now, it wasn't because I have a lack of information. I've always had information that I could share with my audience. It wasn't because I didn't understand how to do it. I've been doing it long enough, like I said, since 2020. So I know how to do the podcast. I know how to find guests for the podcast. And what does it take to look back at previous podcasts and see which ones ranked highest in listeners, so I know this is a trend and that's where I should be going. So it wasn't because I didn't know what to do. It was just my lack of paying attention to what should be done. So that's the first thing. Acknowledge it, analyze it, and move on. Understand what the root cause of my mistake has been, and I want to avoid those mistakes in the future. Now, secondly, I want to apologize again, and I want to make amends. To make those amends, I need to let you know that I realize that not being present on podcasts may have impacted you and your business, and you may have moved on to listen to somebody else's podcast and have gone on to forget about the fact that I'm Faye and I sell Medicare plans. I understand. And so I offer a sincere apology. But I want to be clear that I'm truly sorry that I have neglected having the podcast available for you. It's something that never really should have happened. Let's just face it. It never should have happened. I should have continued. I actually coach people on consistency and persistency. So why didn't I do it? Why? I have no real reason that could be the death of me or anybody else. Why did I let it happen? Well, it happened. I apologize. I really want to make amends and fix any negative consequences for not being in the podcast regularly for all of you, my devoted listeners. So now I've acknowledged that something went wrong. I've analyzed why it went wrong and what went wrong. I've apologized and asked you to please forgive me. So now the third thing is we're going to learn and move on. So the most valuable opportunity I have is to move from here back into consistently bringing you messages that are the ones that you want to hear and the ones that you want to see. So I want to improve this podcast to the point where our hearing audience and our viewership is up there where it's supposed to be. I really want you to understand that from this point on, I'm not going to hold back, and I will focus on moving forward and making better choices for giving you the information that you're looking for. I want to say to you that there have been people who I've met through the podcast, people who have called me, people who have texted me, people who have reached out to me and they've said, I heard your podcast. That's how I learned about you. I know you. You're Faye and you sell Medicare plans. I know that there are people that I've reached over the years. And you're the people that I'm talking to. You're the ones that I'm reaching out to. You may recall that there was a segment of time during which I said to you specifically, listen, I know the importance of the 8% nation. I know that. And it is a fact that only 8% of insurance professionals like yourself over a 3-year period of time will succeed in business. So where are the other 92%? That's who I'm here for. I am here for that 92%. If I can get just 10% of that 9%, or even 2% of that 92% to listen, to come and learn, you could be in that 8% that are succeeding. right? Yes, it's up to you. Everything that you have to succeed is within you. You don't know where to start. Start here. Start by listening to the podcast. Start by learning. Start by reaching out. Start by telling me, what are those things that you fear? What do you hear most that really makes you shake in your boots? What is it that you're truly, truly concerned about? Some of the things I want you to know, just from my experience, my 20 plus years in experience in the Medicare market, some of those things that we're concerned about aren't even things that we should be wasting a moment of time on. Most of the things that we worry about, fret over, dig deeper, get into the weeds about are things that we could be doing something different, moving forward, focusing on what it really takes to drive us to success. Some of the topics that we've talked about here on the podcast have been, what does success really look like? Because it's different for different people. Some of our top podcasts, and you can go back through and listen to some of these. Some of our top podcasts were the podcast on Veterans Initiative, VA, TRICARE, CHAMP. Those podcasts receive some of the highest viewership and listenership. We have at least 64 episodes that are available since March 2nd, 2020. And don't forget, about 7,000 different views. We've done podcasts on grassroots marketing. We've done a podcast on why insurance agents fail. And that one is important because it ties into the people I'm looking for, that 92% that I want to see at least some of you not fail this year. My doctor often says, you're not going to have that on my watch. So I want you to know, if you're listening, if you're watching, this is where I'm going to tell you, I want to bring you those things that you're not going to be in that 92% of people who are failing in the first 3 years on my watch. So stay with me. I am here just to bring you what you're needing, what you absolutely have to have, and scale it down so that I can bring the PhD level of information to you at a third grade level. Why a third grade level? So that you're able to pick it up quickly, run with it, and do something about your business. This is Faye, and I sell Medicare plans. Don't forget, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are watching it on YouTube. Make sure that you like my Facebook page. And if you haven't joined, join the Facebook group, I Sell Medicare Plans. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on, apologize, recognize what I've done wrong, learn from it, and move forward. I'm looking forward to being with you for the rest of this year.